from the vault, high atop the pastoral center of the Diocese of Camden, you're listening to Talking Catholic.
Hello, everybody. Once again, thank you so much for joining us. You're listening to Talking Catholic. I'm Pete Sanchez. With me is Mike Walsh. We are coming up first couple days of spring are almost here on the East Coast.
Yeah, just days away from finally enjoying the warm and beautiful spring weather of March at about 41 degrees and 37-mile-an-hour winds. And my son had a flag football game on Sunday morning, and it was bitter. It was cold.
Oh, yeah.
My kind of weather, don't get me wrong, but man, was it cold.
Yeah, I went for a nice walk near the river where I live on Saturday. And I thought, the sun's out, it's nice. Whew, it is windy, especially right near, you get the wind, you get the breeze coming in. But as you'll see shortly, some of these announcements include outdoor activities, which means that it's getting nicer. People are getting out of their residences, their homes, and the spring will be sprung.
Yes, whether we like it or not, spring's coming.
Yes, and one of these things is Irish for Vocations, Sunday, March 31st. Once again, we'll be coming together with the Diocese, with the Bishop Sullivan, and priests, seminarians, and families of the Diocese of South Jersey to pray for and promote vocations to the priesthood. This is going to be at Washington Lake Park in Sewell from 12 to 5 p.m., starting with Mass with Bishop Sullivan, followed by a 5K run, 1 mile walk. And there'll be there'll be picnic, there'll be music, there'll be fun. It's just a great day. We've been doing this last few years, almost a decade now. And pray for good weather. March 31st, Mike and I will be there. And say hello, and you might be included in the podcast, right, Mike?
Well, if not the podcast, at least some Facebook Live videos we do from the event, which is always fun. We always have a blast.
Yeah, I can't wait for that. Again, that's March 31st. Come on out, Washington Lake Park in Sewell, New Jersey.
And it's free.
Thank you. It is free. It is fun. It is family.
Yes.
Come on out. And then April 6th, less than a week later, our lovely friends, the Franciscan Sisters of the Renewal in Atlantic City, New Jersey, we'll be having another First Saturday devotion with Mass, talk by a Franciscan friar, adoration, confession, rosary, music, healing service, and benediction. 10 to 3 p.m., no registration necessary. Again, this is free. I love the diocese. A lot of these things, just come, show up, and get some food for your soul. For more information, call 609-343-1545. This is going to be held at St. Michael's Church, 10 North Mississippi Avenue, Atlantic City. Again, from 10 to 3 p.m. on Saturday, April 6th.
And everybody who goes to those devotionals with the sisters, they always come back saying they're moved. It's so amazing. It's so loving, so sweet, so enjoyable. Fun. Yeah. I mean, the sisters are a hoot on top of being, spiritually nurturing and wanting to emulate a lot of them. And, you get to spend some time with, I don't think they would appreciate me referring to it like this, but the sisters groupies, they have quite a contingent of fans that have become truly in love with that community down there, and which you and I included. I mean, I think we throw ourselves into that mix. They are absolutely wonderful, absolutely positive.
Yeah.
Going to see them next week for the convocation. I'm very much looking forward to it.
Yeah, I did a story. I thought when you were saying the groupies, you meant the St. Michael's missionaries.
No, those are not groupies.
Okay, those are
people
groupies.
who are discerning a vocation. Completely different.
Yes.
Situation.
Well, I just wanted to clarify. I'm glad you did clarify your statement. But I was happy a few weeks ago. I went down to AC and interviewed the missionaries for a recent story in last week's paper, and they're just wonderful young women too, and they will be there on the 6th. And I'm
looking forward to meeting them too.
I think, they were.
I haven't met them yet. I've been in their presence, but I haven't had a chance to speak with them.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they've actually were nice enough. A few of them came for the 100th episode with Sister Chiara and Sister Agnes. Mm-hmm. So they're just lovely young women, and the sisters are great. Saturday, April 6th, St. Michael's Church in Atlantic City from 10 to 3. And the next day is the Diocese of Camden's Faithful Food Drive, 6th annual one of such that we are doing. We're combating food insecurity in South Jersey. There are way too many kids and families in this area that really they do not know where their next meal is going to come from. So help them out. Food donations of canned anything, canned tuna fish, chicken, canned food, of course, canned tuna fish, chicken, soup, beans, canned veggies, canned soup, canned fruit, applesauce, canned fruit juice. They can be dropped off at any Catholic church in our diocese in South Jersey on April 7th. Or you can participate in our virtual food drive at camdendiocese.org/faithful. That is FULL. Sunday, April 7th.
Yeah,
and that is nice. Sponsored by the office where we have the director.
Yes, in a few minutes we'll let him talk about it too.
Yes. Well, Matthew Davis, we got you here right now.
Wait a second. You're gonna. He's not prepared. We told him he's gonna wait 5-10 minutes, and you're gonna throw him right into this with no preparation.
Is that okay?
That is just cruel. That is cruel and inhuman.
Well, I wanted to give you the opportunity. I don't want to steal your thunder about this event.
Yep, that's how I thought it was going to go. Good job,
okay.
Pete.
Well,
no, it's okay.
I apologize.
Matt, you've for all of the week that you've been here. No, actually, Matt, you've been with the diocese now for almost 2 months at this point.
About a month and a half. Yeah.
About a month. I assume everything is the largest amount, but no, it's true. And the Faithful Food Drive is coming up, and your office as a sponsor has been actually leading it for most years in connection with Catholic Charities, and it's always been a great event. Your predecessor did a great job sort of forming it and keeping it moving. And I know coming on board, it's one of the hallmark elements of your department, in addition to certainly right to life and social justice. But the fact that so many departments come together on an event like this, I actually am quite enamored by. But in your brief 6 weeks with the diocese, have you gotten much of a feel for the Faithful Food Drive yet?
Yeah, it's actually no longer, at least this year, it's not under my office. Catholic Charities is taking the lead. Mm-hmm. But, I'm learning about it. Sounds like a great event. Parishes are excited to be involved. They're excited. I think it's like 150,000 pounds of food, something huge number. Yeah. And people have beaten that, are excited to try to, make big contributions to help out. Yeah, it's great. We're very much, it's always a great signature event. And Mary McCusker from Catholic Charities has really been doing a boatload of work on it for the last 2 years. And she actually took a great time-lapsed video. You could probably find it on Catholic Charities of Camden's social media page, which did a great time-lapse photo of everybody dropping off last year at Our Lady of Hope. So it's wonderful. So by all means, everyone should donate and do what they can. So what else we got coming up, Pete?
Well, coming up, thank you, Matt. Thanks for your input with that. Sunday, April 28th, we have Alotto Caters in 1849 Cooper Street, Almanesson, the 28th Annual Afternoon of Jazz Plus, sponsored by the Diocese of Camden, Black Catholic Ministry, and Cultural Diversity. There'll be fun fellowship, superb buffet dinner, and dancing to the renowned sounds of To the Max. I'm excited for this. I will be there. I'm pumped. It should be a great time. It is from 2 to 7 p.m., and it costs us $50 per person, and that money goes to benefit the Black Catholic Ministry Scholarship Fund. So, win-win. You come on out, you listen to good music, get good food, you dance, and you help out. The youth in South Jersey. So, for more information, contact Joan DeGennaro at 856-583-2904. For more information, again, the 20th Annual Afternoon of Jazz Plus. Say hello to me. Sunday, April 28th from 2 to 7 p.m. in Almanesson. And then this is fun. This is another outdoor event coming up with this nice weather. This is closer actually to summer than to spring. Saturday, June 15th is St. Augustine Prep School at 611 Cedar Avenue, Richland. For the first time ever, the Diocese of Camden is doing a Torneo de Football. Well, if you don't speak Spanish, Mike, that is Soccer Cup.
Wait, give me that phrase again.
Torneo de Football.
You just said tornado.
I said tornado.
No. I was listening because I kept going, why did he say tornado of football?
No.
Don't. That is what I heard. And by the way, I'm recording this so I can literally go back and prove it if I just go back in about a minute. So all the people who listen to the podcast can hit the 15-second return a couple of times, listen to what Pete said, and then tell me whether or not he said tornado of football.
I'm glad you're telling people to do that because they can find out how wrong you are, Mike.
Well, that's the question I'm asking. I'm at least putting it out there for the people to research.
To us mal. Muy mal. But come out to the Diocese of Camden Soccer Cup for a day of family fun and happy, healthy, and holy competition. Music, prayer, food for the participants and their families. And this is cool. It's going to be the age range to participate in this tournament, 18 to 30 years old. So there will be an all-boys teams and all-girls teams. I'm excited for this. Saturday, June 15th, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. for some happy, healthy, holy competition. Free admission with this, too. It is wonderful, Mike.
I love free admission.
Big Atlantic City, fan. Richland, Sewell, you got to love it. Come out to all these events and more. As always, all these events can be found on camdendiocese.org. On the right-hand side, click on the calendar.
Well done. You said that very emphatically, too.
That
was really great. Very enthusiastic. That's good. That's good.
Thanks. Yeah,
You're making up for the inability to pronounce tournament properly in Spanish.
Torneo.
That's not what you said.
I'm not going to say lo siento, Mike. I'm not because...
That's fine. I don't speak Spanish, but I'm okay. I don't know what lo siento means. I don't know what it means. What does it mean?
I'm sorry. I'm not going to say it, though. I'm not going to say I'm sorry.
I don't know what it is. Oh, is that...
Lo siento means
I'm sorry?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
This has been your Spanish lesson for the day,
thank
Mike.
you very much.
Tomorrow or next week.
I feel like I've taken something away from this podcast.
Good, I'm glad.
That's good. That's wonderful. So, Pete, who do we have with us today?
We have here
Since you barely introduced him before.
Well, Matt Davis or Matthew?
Matt's fine.
Matt Davis, Director of Life Justice Ministries. How are you?
I'm great. Great to be here.
Oh, so glad for you to come here. You've been, what did we say, about 5 weeks or so?
Yeah, I think 5-6 weeks here.
6 weeks. And how's it been getting the lay of the land here in Camden?
It's been great. A lot of great people I've met, a lot to learn, but enjoying my time so far.
Oh, good. And so with your... Let's just speak about your background for a bit. Where have you, what were you grew up in South Jersey?
Yeah, I'm born and raised in Millville. Okay. And then haven't really lived in South Jersey since I graduated from high school. But my wife and I recently bought a house in Collingswood, so we're back in South Jersey. So it feels like we're home, which is great.
Oh, good. And your father he's well known to Mike and I, Deacon Russell Davis, who he's in Millville, right? Parish of All Saints.
That's right. Yep.
Right. Yeah. And he sometimes comes in to the development, and he's one of the he's one of the most gregarious guys I know. Just a good holy. So speak a bit about your background. You said you're the youngest of. Well, you have two older brothers. Where do you fall in the family? Do you have other siblings, sisters?
No, I've got two older brothers, and we're from Millville. We went to St. John Bosco Parish growing up. Had a great church experience growing up. Had a great missionary priest from Ireland named Monsignor O'Marin, who was our pastor when we were little. And my dad's actually a convert to Catholicism. So Monsignor O'Marin was a big person in kind of welcoming my dad to the Catholic Church and my dad's own conversion story. We had some other great priests, young priests. We had Monsignor Marucci when he was first ordained. We had Father Maz. We had a lot of great young priests. I have a really great experience of church as a young person.
Oh, good. And so what did you, what was your education? Where did you go to school?
Sure. I went to school in St. Louis at a school called Washington University.
Oh, okay. My cousin went there.
Oh, nice. Mm-hmm. Okay, cool.
So I'm familiar. What did you study there?
I studied world religions at WashU. At the time, I was in the seminary in St. Louis from 2002 to 2004, about when I was maybe 24 to 26. So I think when I studied world religions, there's a little bit of me kind of thinking about the priesthood a little bit, discerning a little bit, kind of exploring God. I don't think I would have named what I was doing kind of discerning, but in some ways I look back and I think I was.
Was Washington University, or is Washington University a Catholic college, or is it?
Yeah, it's a secular school that we had a great Newman Center there, a really inspiring priest who, I think at that time, I think my faith, I was really struggling some in my faith.
Yeah.
And our priest at our Newman Center, a priest named Father Gary, he was just a great priest, really instrumental helping me keep my faith.
Yeah. You know, I hear that a lot when I talk to folks, not even so much the kids that are in school now, but when I talk to Catholics who were part of their Newman programs back in the day, they always look back on it fondly, particularly if they had a strong presence and a good priest, as being that entity that sort of kept them focused. Because, you know, college life, there are a lot of distractions, a lot of things that, I mean, generally speaking, I mean, I went to a Catholic college, and oftentimes my Catholicism, even there, was not the first thing on my mind. But you get into a good Newman Center, and I find that that's very beneficial to your faith life more than anything else.
Have you been able to see our Newman Centers? Or I guess, well, they're more and more calling them Catholic Campus Ministries now. Have you been able to visit them, Rowan and I think Stockton? In
your 6 weeks?
Yeah, I haven't. I met Yvonne, who was a great guy.
He is.
You know, I want to collaborate more with him, but just only met Yvonne. That's it. Who I think's at
He's
Rowan.
Rowan University's director. Yeah, he's really great. And, you know, I don't think I've met the person. I don't think I've met the coordinator at Rutgers yet. But the woman at Stockton, Allison Filio, she's outstanding too. Yeah, the campus ministries in the diocese I have always been very impressed by. I love being around them. I find them inspiring. I like being around young people who, you know, have a pretty good handle on their faith. That's like, whew, next generation's okay. All right, we're going to be fine.
I know, yeah. I always love it because I try to be like a sponge when I go to those places.
Because you're desperately trying to remain young?
Exactly, Mike.
Okay.
Well, you know, I have a portrait in my house that is just all, you know.
Tell me the name of the book. If you're going to bring the reference up.
Portrait of Dorian Gray.
Very good.
Thank you. Oscar Wilde, Mike.
I was just watching The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen last night.
Oh.
And he's a character in that.
That's right, yeah. Which is not
Yeah, I like the first 40 minutes of the movie is pretty good, and then it just sort of dies off at the end.
But. Are you a movie buff, Matt?
A little bit, yeah.
What do you enjoy?
My wife laughs. I'm a guy that's I'd be the kind of guy that would be, you know, against violence in society, kind of stuff like that. But I love the violent action movies. That's the kind of movies I like to watch. So.
Well, you know, I think there's some truth to that because I think, you know, what we end up, I find that, so very little of my life has anything to do with comedy nowadays, but that's what I'm drawn to. And I think it's because there's you know, you're drawn to the things that don't necessarily exist in your life because you get to sort of, you know, live vicariously through another. I mean, so many people I know, so many pacifists I know that absolutely love things like the original RoboCop that had more bullets in it per second than any other movie of all time at that time. It was insane. That is a bloody movie.
RoboCop for the first time, and the whole
the original, the one from the mid '80s. Yeah,
I mean,
it's violent.
It is extremely. I mean, then now I guess I'm thinking of the Tarantino movies, but that's more cartoony. RoboCop felt visceral.
I don't know. Seems a few heads blow off in Tarantino movies, and people get mutilated.
But I don't know. He directs it in such a way that, like, when you're talking about action movies, which ones? Like, just for instance, do you have a favorite movie?
I like stuff like Band of Brothers.
Oh, that's
kind of war movie stuff like that.
That's good.
Oh, okay. Or The Pacific.
The Pacific, yeah.
All that stuff is, yeah.
So usually we save that stuff for the end. We didn't have a chance to sort of go through your past, sort of bringing you here. So you went to college, and you know, getting into sort of this life and justice mindset, you know. So was that something that sort of solidified in college, or did you find that after you left college that you were searching it out?
I think really it's probably roots that my parents gave me. My parents have always been very community-oriented, very service-oriented. You know, loving God, loving neighbor is, you know, I think a big thing for our family. So I think it's something at a young age my parents just instilled in me. And then, you know, I think in my job choices have always been about, I've always had most of my jobs have been working with immigrants.
Yeah.
So I think it comes from that kind of Catholic faith my parents gave me.
Oh, I did a deep dive into your LinkedIn page when we found out you were being hired. And I was like, "Ooh, let's see more about this guy. I love LinkedIn. Gotta find all this stuff." But it's true. I mean, you didn't come right back to the Philadelphia area. You after college, you went up to Boston, or was
Well, I was in Los Angeles for a year,
right.
and I went back to St. Louis. I became an ESL teacher. Went to the seminary 2 years. Then I was in Boston 6 years, working with refugees. Then Dominican Republic 2 years, and then Archdiocese of Philadelphia 6 years, working with immigrants in the Archdiocese of Philadelphia, and now finally back home, back in South Jersey.
Back where you started. What sort of drew you to working with refugees and immigrants?
I think my first job teaching was in Los Angeles, and maybe about 70% of my kids were from Latino families, and just loved the families. Just found great warmth, hospitality. I just enjoyed being in their presence, and really said, this is a group of people I'd love to get to know better.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and so that's what 10, 12 years ago, right?
More than that.
Oh boy. Boy, you're old. That's true. Very young man.
It is true.
I think actually about my age, if I'm not mistaken. Close to it. But so that's going back. Okay, so 15 or so years, and we've seen how things have sort of magnified over the last 15 years, and really coming to a head in the last 2 or 3 years when it comes to immigration, both immigrations and refugees. Now, you weren't within the diocese when a lot of that happened in the last 2 years, but I'm curious, from the precursor to the 2016 election and since then, have you seen a change in immigration and refugees from the perspective of the immigrants and the refugees about do they have concerns about being in the United States, coming to the United States, getting their family into the United States?
Definitely concerns. I was surprised, right after the presidential election, I know 3 different people who either they or someone they knew came up to them and said, get out of our country, go back where you come from. And all 3 were people who were born and raised in the U.S.
Yeah. So
that I didn't hear that kind of stuff happening before. So definitely I think people are more on edge and about things like that.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about the jobs, and so you go to Los Angeles and then you go back. Actually, since in the middle of that there was that moment of discerning the priesthood. Was that we've had Father Romano, the head of the vocations department here. We've had him and the seminarians on a lot, so we've certainly had that discussion, and our listeners are certainly used to it. I'm curious, what was your mindset with the idea of possibly becoming a priest?
Yeah, I think it was first just really feeling a lot of love for God and love from God, and the desire of just wanting to serve God. Not know exactly what that meant, but just have that desire. Hey, God, I'm grateful for all you've given me. I want to serve you. I want to be part of making the church better, the world better. Kind of a raw feeling, and not know exactly what to do with it. It's like, hey, maybe I could be called to be a priest, and just wanted to explore that.
Yeah. And then, so did you discern? I often tell people that discernment is exactly what it sounds like. Discernment isn't I'm going to discern to become a priest. I'm going to discern whether I should become a priest. And part of that process is sometimes you discern, nah, not for me. I looked into it, but I'm good. I'm going to move on to something else. Was it like that? I mean, did you struggle with it, or did you just sort of come to a realization one day that I might want to go in a different direction?
I think it was both. There was kind of it's not for me, but also a little part of me kept wondering if it could be for me. So kind of a process I drug out for a little bit of, a while, I would say. But at some point said, I can serve the church, be a married man, have a family, and really came to keep peace with that.
Oh, that's good. And so from there, where did you go after your discernment moment?
I was in Boston for 6 years working to help the refugees get jobs in Boston.
How was it being along the wonderful and gregarious and warm embrace of the Boston people?
Actually, it was funny. My first probably week or two back, I was walking across the street and someone yelled some not nice words at me, and I just was like, it's back in the East Coast. I felt like this familiar vibe of the Midwest is very gentle and nice, so the Boston felt a little more like home, like the East Coast that we know.
Yes. I've often said Philadelphia and Boston are kindred souls when it comes to
very much.
Our joy of our fellow man.
Yes, very much.
So, where did you live in Boston? I had a good friend who lived up there in Beacon Hill.
Okay, Yeah, I know where. I lived near Beacon Hill for a year, but I was mostly in a place called Jamaica Plain, which is kind of south of downtown.
Okay.
In the city.
I think, yeah, beautiful. I mean, if you can deal with the Boston fans and the sports culture, it's not such a bad place up there. A lot of history, and so coming down here is. When did you move back to the area here?
Well, the last 6.5 years I worked in the Archdiocese of Philadelphia.
Okay.
So
yeah.
I was in South Philadelphia, and then recently we moved to Collingswood.
Okay. And with your and so what has it been? Speak about your work in Philadelphia. You were working with refugees around there too, and how was that experience?
Sure, it was a little. So in Boston, I was more social service. I helped refugees get jobs. In Philadelphia, it was working pastorally with Catholic immigrant communities. All the Catholic immigrants that don't speak Spanish. So it was Vietnamese Catholics, Nigerian Catholics, Polish Catholics, groups like that.
And but you're fluent in at least Spanish, I think, or some Spanish.
Yeah.
This conversation.
Yeah, I learned Spanish, but then I worked with all the immigrants that don't speak Spanish.
Oh. And do you think are you gonna? That might be a good opportunity here to use that Spanish.
No, I definitely hope working in life and justice to be able to involve the Latino community in the office and find ways to collaborate, work with Andres and find ways to collaborate, with the Latino community in this job.
Yeah, I've been to. I'm still learning my Spanish. My dad is from Cuba. My mom is from the States, so that's something I'm trying to work on. But I've been to the Quinto Encuentro, with the Andres, and it's just a good. They do good work. It's good to be good. I think that's great to be connected with them if you can. You probably know they have so much to offer, and even these the immigrants and the refugees, and so what kind of can you speak a bit about how your first 5 weeks have been? What have you been up to here in this diocese? Visiting places or?
Yeah, the first 5 weeks have been first getting to know the diocese to start with, getting to meet different people in diocesan offices, kind of see what people in the diocese are doing. And then I've been out visiting parishes saying, hey, what can the office do? How can the office be supportive? Anything new, ideas you have for what the office can do, things like that.
And do you have like a personal philosophy for your work, for kind of life and justice that you've thought in your head? Okay, this is how I'm going to try to do a mission, or?
Yeah, I think it would be, try to be like Jesus is in the gospel. Being merciful, being loving, having special concern for people who have disabilities or people who are poor, people who are sick. Kind of what Jesus did in the gospel. I think the office should be a reflection of that.
There's so many different events, and Catholic Charities does a lot with the refugee community. And have you been kind of tapping with them too, with what they're and what they're into?
Yeah, I've met with Kevin. It's definitely his office I want to collaborate more with. I think the refugee numbers are going down right now in terms of how many people are being admitted as refugees. So I don't know how much they have actively going on, but it's definitely a program I'd like to collaborate with for sure.
And have you been? Because I've been able to be part of. I'm part of different pro-life groups. I used to be involved with Life Runners. You familiar with them?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, they used to. When I used to really run, I was part of a group called Life Runners, and I have a shirt. Before I forget what the phrase was. I think it was Jeremiah, but just stuff like that. And there's a few. And I know the bishop has been to a few. Of the abortion into the women's centers that perform abortions and say the rosary. So I think, and kind of what do you hope to do with that, like with the pro-life?
Yeah, there's going to be a campaign we're going to try to launch in the diocese. I don't know when, called the 2020 campaign, which is going to be to make abortion illegal at 20 weeks in 2020. That's a campaign. Okay. I'm still getting my feet on the ground, but that's probably one of my first initiatives that I'm thinking is going to happen in terms of pro-life and trying to limit abortion or end abortion.
That's great. Yeah, there's so many. It's just around the country. It seems like there's so many. I think they were talking about New Jersey passing a law where you could abort at like no restrictions. I think. Am I getting that right?
It was in New York that happens. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah. The just horrendous. So I'm glad that 2020. I'm looking forward to seeing more of that. I think that's with.
I was just enjoying you're on a roll.
You don't have any questions, Mike?
No, I have many questions, but you're on a roll. I was just letting you go with it.
I didn't pass it.
I didn't. Sorry. Actually, the thing I was, we were talking about your past a little bit, and the thing I was thinking about was, we didn't talk about your time in the Dominican Republic. Bishop spent some time. The Bishop Sullivan in our diocese spent some time in the Dominican Republic right after he was made, right after he was ordained a priest, and he feels that. His ability with the Spanish language, but even more importantly, his understanding of the cultural aspects, particularly the individual cultural aspects of the Hispanic community. It's, as an Irish American myself, and typically those of us Europeans of European descent, we tend to look at the Hispanic community as sort of like this one group, right? When in reality, it's all these smaller groups. I'm curious, did your time, and you spent 2 years in the Dominican Republic? Your time in the Dominican Republic, how did that sort of influence you, both in terms of immigrants and the Hispanic community? Well, you as an immigrant, not the Dominican people themselves, but really, how did that sort of focus your thinking about working within the Hispanic community?
Sure. First, I love Dominicans. Just people of great joy, generosity. To me, I've always experienced with immigrants is I can never outdo the generosity of an immigrant. If I do one thing for someone who's an immigrant, they'll do 10 things back. So, I really experienced that in the DR. You're walking around in rural areas. You're with someone, you get invited in. This is, people live very humble houses, and they're sharing their coffee with you, food with you. So just tremendous hospitality, tremendous generosity I experienced.
Yeah. Marianella Nunez, who has often been a co-host and a guest on this podcast, she's been trying to convince me I've never been to anywhere in the Caribbean. Is that true? Well, I take that back. I've been to Jamaica and Puerto Rico, but beyond those two, I haven't made it anywhere. And she's from the Dominican Republic. She's like, Mike, you have to come. It is the most beautiful place. The people are so nice. The food is outstanding. And she could have ended that with that. Food is outstanding. It's usually all it takes to get me to go someplace. And the truth of the matter is, between what she said and what Bishop has told me about the Dominican Republic and now you, I really do think when I do finally get around to making it back to a warm climate vacation place or even just to travel and visit, it's going to have to be the Dominican Republic, because I hear nothing but beautiful things. Beautiful things, and a lot of times people think resorty about that, but she said no. The actual communities of the Dominican Republic are really outstanding. So being in there, how quickly were you able to pick up the Spanish language?
It took me a little bit of time. I didn't go in. I went in probably intermediate level. Yeah, I bet it probably took me a good year or so to really feel confident.
Yeah. And how much of that confidence still exists?
I'd say I don't consider myself fluent, but my wife always gives me. My wife's from Bolivia. She's like, "You're fluent," but I don't understand.
Fluent-ish.
Yeah, I'm fluent-ish. I would say. I can understand 95%, and if I don't understand, I can ask someone to clarify. But if I watch movies, they're a little tougher for me to understand. So it kind of depends on the context.
Well, that's good. And I would imagine that there isn't. We've talked about this a little bit on the podcast too in the past, that each of those cultures, they have their own twist on the Spanish language.
Definitely.
So the Dominican people have their own way of speaking Spanish, whereas Bolivians have a completely different. Matter of fact, we have to take that into. I am more aware of taking that into account when we are translating things nowadays, and I also try to take into account that if I'm working with a group that is predominantly Puerto Rican. I have to put myself in a Puerto Rican mindset, not as a global Hispanic mindset. And you would think Yeah, it's for the Anglos who are listening right now. I mean, it's no different. I mean, we came off St. Patrick's Day yesterday, and I mean, to a lot of people, to a lot of Italians, what's the big deal? St. Patrick's Day. And nobody seems to understand why the Italians love the Feast of St. Joseph so much. Yeah. But I love them both. I have the benefit of being both Irish and Italian.
Today we're directly in between.
I know. This is the middle of this is the day I have to burn all of my calories from what I had from yesterday before I hit all those St. Joseph's cakes tomorrow.
No,
very excited. Give me some Zeppelis.
That sounds good. And so, have you been to Bolivia? I guess with your wife?
Yeah, my wife and I are married 2.5 years, so we went about 2 years ago. We went. Again, I love all Latinos. I have to say, I lived in the DR for 2 years, so I love Dominicans and I love Bolivians. My wife's Bolivian, so I have a little extra special place for them, but
I think that's allowed. I think if you marry a Bolivian, then it's okay to like Bolivia just a little bit more.
I don't want to get in trouble either with my wife, so I kind of got to say that. But no, it's true. It's true. We had an incredible time in her family was incredible. She has an incredible church community. It was really inspiring to see her church community in Bolivia as well.
The Hispanic community here they have a beautiful church. I don't know if you've been to the one in Lindenwold, Lady Guadalupe. Beautiful devotion to. I was there for a few years ago. They had a service for Lady Guadalupe in December, of course, and just they had a mariachi band. They had amazing food, and it's just, man, that Spanish food can't be beat sometimes.
My stomach is a sign of that. Yes, I definitely agree.
Oh, I don't know about that. You're a trim man.
It's getting worse.
The people on the podcast can't see you, but yeah.
Now here's an important question. Do you have a favorite Spanish dish?
There's a lot of things I love in the DR. They have this great soup called sancocho, which to me really should be a cold weather food. It's this like thick, hearty soup with big pieces of chicken feet and corn and all kinds of meats in there. I love sancocho.
Sounds good. I love a good paella.
Oh.
That's good with the rice, seafood. I don't eat it enough. My father, being from Cuba, he doesn't like seafood, but I've made it, and fortunately my relatives like it. So
wait,
good.
I'm curious. Your father being from Cuba doesn't like seafood. Do Cubans not like seafood?
Some of them do.
Oh.
Some of my aunts and uncles do like seafood. Not many. It's just, I don't know. I would think living on an island for the first couple decades of your life, you'd grown to like seafood. But, I mean, he's pretty much a simple rice and beans guy, which is good.
Oh, no argument for me.
Yeah,
I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
That's okay.
I don't know. It's just good sometimes to get, especially during Lent now. We're on Fridays, the fish, the seafood. I had sardines on my pizza on Friday.
See, that's the one thing I actively avoid during Lent is I want to see how many Fridays I can get away with not having fish on Friday. No, I mean anything. I mean not meat, but any
okay.
Can I go with just omelets? Can I rice and beans? Can I do stuff like that and salads?
I don't know if you two have heard. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
I finished my sentence.
I don't know if either of you two have heard about this petition. This person is petitioning Pope Francis during the 40 days of Lent to go vegan. All 40 days. And he hasn't...
It's not exactly what Lent is for. It's, Well, no partaking of any animal flesh thing. I forget who it is. It's some activist who wants... That sounds about right. Yeah. And I don't know if I could do it. I mean, I don't even know if I can do vegetarian. I wouldn't want to do it. But I just what day was it? It might have been Friday, actually. Sometime I've noticed in my old age that there are days when I will literally crave meat, like protein. And and I can't I can't eat another piece of carb, and I'm like, I've got to have a piece of meat. And feel the same way. Eggs are the only thing that on Friday. It's the only thing you can really eat for me anyway. And that's what I do. But if anything, I'm finding that because they do say you should listen to your body and what your body is requiring, because that's your body usually telling you you're running low on something, so go eat it. I also found that I cannot, whereas in my youth I could eat high quantities of sugar, I cannot do a lot of sugar anymore. When I lost all the weight a year ago, and I've been able to keep it off, because I took most of the sugar out of my diet, and and now whenever I entered, like I had a cheesecake last night actually, and it kind of made me uncomfortable.
Yeah, no, I believe it, because there was a time, I've cut back on eating pizza, for instance. I have probably once a month now instead of every week. I had it the other night, and I one slice is okay, but even after the second one, I don't know. Like, your body, the physiology just changes.
Well, they do say as you get older, it's harder to digest milk.
Yeah, that might be.
So that might be it too. It might be dairy's rearing its ugly hand. Or, you have celiac disease and you can't eat bread.
I don't think it's that. I think it might be the dairy. Don't scare me. No, but did you two hear the pendulum has shifted on the eggs now? Now they say the eggs are not good for you.
Yeah, but I just read a retort to that that says that may not be true. That pendulum goes back and forth constantly. But I'm still eating eggs. Because, I get my... Thankfully, the diocese has an excellent healthcare plan, and I go and get my yearly checkup, and they always take my blood tests, and God bless it, my cholesterol's perfect, and my sugar's fine, and everything's good. My legs are going to fall off, but other than that, it's fine. Too many years of playing football. And I'm
going to have to wheel you in here. Is that what you're telling me?
I'm not kidding. I was talking to my dad about this week, and there are days I seriously just want to cut my legs off from above the knee and just not have to deal with it anymore. Because both of them, it's terrible.
Is there a patron saint of knees, like, or legs? I'm being serious. We could pray for you, Mike. Put them up on the wall here.
Hey, listen, I would be more than happy to receive a miracle of healing to my arthritic knees and feet and ankles. But
I'm sorry, Mike.
That's okay, Pete. It's okay.
Feel better. I've heard water is good because water can lubricate the joints. Have you heard that?
No, I have not.
Okay,
my brother-in-law who now sees a rheumatologist, because this is how old I am now, right? Okay. I now have these conversations, which really annoys me.
You mentioned rheumatologist.
I said rheumatology, and my brother-in-law is a year younger than me, or 3 months younger than me anyway, and 10 months younger than me. And he's been seeing a rheumatologist for a couple of years. He's like, Mike, you really got to do it. And I go, all right, well, I got the arthritis and stuff like that. What's involved? He's like, well, it's real easy. But you get this one shot, and then you take these pills. I'm like, oh, well, that's not so terrible. He's like, then you got to take these 12 pills to counteract the 2 pills that you take. And I'm like, all right, hold on now. What do I got to do? And so it's basically, he takes a month. I forget how often the regimen is, but he's popping pills left and right, and half the pills counteract the other pills. And I'm like, you know what? I think I'll just stick with the arthritis for right now. I'll see if I can come up with another way of handling it. Losing the sugar did help, because that's one of the things that apparently makes life difficult for someone like I.
Sorry, well, Mike, I'll be praying for you. Let's get maybe a 9-day novena. We can start.
A 9-day novena? Okay.
I think novena is even 9 days. I could have just said novena, and people would hopefully known. Yeah, I think it's redundant.
It is. I think it is redundant.
Yeah. So, Matt, getting back to, let's talk about Lent here. Have you made, my sacrifice for Lent has been sweets. No sweets. Have you made any sacrifice for these next, how many days we have left till April 21st?
I'm trying to do the sacrifice some things and add some things. So I've added going to trying to go to daily mass here during the week.
Beautiful.
And then just trying to eat healthier, not eat sweets, just try to eat healthier. That's kind of my giving up.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, daily mass here is awesome.
That is one of the benefits of working across the alleyway from the cathedral is the daily mass. That is very nice.
Yeah, I don't do it enough. I know. And, there's no excuse for me to do it. And so do you find yourself on Sunday, like yesterday, it was Sunday, and I know I said I was going to try to do 46 days, Mike, for fasting. No, I had to have the pistachio gelato yesterday, which was good. Do you just go cold turkey?
It was green. It was March 17th. It's appropriate to have.
I didn't even think about that.
There you go. Nice job, Irishman.
And you got your green on for DeSales University?
Villanova, it looks like.
It's not St. Patty's intended. It's just my thing, my badge holder.
Okay. Oh, it's got different Philly colleges on it.
It's all the Philly Catholic universities, yeah, which is a ton.
Yeah. And are you following March Madness at all? Are you a basketball guy?
You know, when I was younger, I did, but now I'm just busier. I followed every sport growing up, but now I'm like Eagles, Sixers. I like soccer too, so Eagles, Sixers, and soccer kind of things I follow.
Okay. Oh, the Philadelphia Union.
I'll follow the Union and also the national team. Yeah.
So
the men's national team.
Yeah.
The men's national team.
The men's national. Okay. And the World Cup, isn't the Women's World Cup coming up this year?
It's coming up soon. I don't follow that one as much. I follow more the men's national team, but I think the Women's World Cup it's coming up very soon.
I don't even know.
That's always fun. I always enjoy those national cup matches.
Did you play any sports, or do you play any?
I did play soccer. I was thinking of Mike because I tore my ACL 2 years ago playing soccer, and I've kind of been out of shape since. I got to eat healthier. I'm just not. My knee hasn't fully recovered, so I'm gonna have some knee problems, I think, as I get older too.
That's a shame. I'm sorry to hear that.
I have a good friend. She tore her ACL playing volleyball, and it's been a rough go for her. And it was like a year and a half ago.
Our former guest and friend, Nina.
Yeah,
Cameo,
Nina. Yeah. Oh, that's right. Okay. I forget that you knew that.
Thanks, Pete. That's nice.
You're all knowing, Mike.
I keep trying to tell you that. You never listen.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry. Yeah. Well, I'm sorry to hear about your ACL.
Not a problem.
And with and what other kind of, we talked about movies. Do you have any other interests, like outside of, like, after work? Anything else you're involved in?
Yeah, sports. Being back in South Jersey, trying to hang out with my family more. Most of my family's in South Jersey, some family in North Jersey, so definitely hanging out with family.
Nice. What part of North Jersey, may I ask?
My mom's family were New Yorkers that moved to North Jersey. So my grandpa just recently passed away, but he was living in Bergen County and kind of very, very northern Jersey is where my mom's family's from.
Okay. I have family in Essex County.
Okay.
So I know that area. And Millville, when I think of Millville, I think of Mike Trout.
That's
true.
true.
Do you know him? Or
I knew his dad. His dad was my world cultures teacher. His dad's hysterical. Actually, his dad is one of my favorite teachers. His dad's a very funny guy.
Oh my gosh! In high school?
Yeah, in Millville. Millville High School. Yeah.
I didn't know. That's cool. Yeah, we're maybe if you know him, you can try to tell him, hey, get your son to come back to Philly.
I bet you one or two people have come up to Mr. Trout and made their recommendation. I'm willing to bet that.
A few people have done that publicly too. The new number 3 on the Phillies.
It's true.
So it's but that's cool. Yeah, Millville is. What kind of town is it like? I don't think I've
beautiful, bucolic. Half my family's from there. I love Millville. Oh yeah.
I was asking Matt. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I thought it was an open question.
I'm curious. I'm curious to hear what you say about Millville.
Fine, Mike, you answer.
My uncle was the captain of the police there for his entire life.
Wow.
Oh yeah. So
what's his name?
Do you know? I knew you were going to say that. Is Uncle Jay and Aunt Mary Ellen. And do you know Pfeiffer? Thank you. God, I thought that was such a
Pfeiffer.
Yeah, such a walk to remember that. That side of the family. We only ever referred to everybody by their first name.
Okay.
So half of the last names I never knew. And what was more is I never knew how interrelated we all are with each other. So, my great-grandfather, my grandfather grew up in Millville, and my mom went to Bridgeton High School.
Okay.
And, that's Cumberland and Salem County. That's my area. Up here in Camden County, I feel like I'm in. I've always thought of Camden County as the beginning of North Jersey.
A lot of people down south too.
You're down by where we're from if you think that.
I'm Fortescue,
that
general vicinity. Yeah. I'm much more comfortable. Actually, when on stressful, like on a weekend or something like that. And actually, I did this very recently. I just went out for a drive. And when I drive, I go down through Salem and Cumberland County and just drive through the fields and whatnot. I did a photo project a couple of years ago for the bishop. And I had to take pictures of all the different counties and like find a representative photograph. And it was the best because I just would take like a long Saturday and just drive all around down there and just take nothing but landscapes and people doing things and swing by Cowtown and take a couple pictures there. And And it's wonderful. I'm sorry, Pete, that you don't have a greater love for it like Matt and I do, but that's all right. You know, you'll find your own way of getting into Matt's world.
No,
that's
you know what I want to do? I'm being serious. This would be a good way to get me down there. I have a segment we could do called Pete on the Street, where I go down to different places. We get a cameraman, you or John Kalitz. I'm serious, and I interview people in all these different Camden County or Cape May, Cumberland, all over South Jersey. You know, their work, their faith.
Why don't you be the camera guy and the rest of us will be? Why do you got to be the on-camera person? What makes you think you are the person who should be interviewing?
Rhymes, Pete and Street.
He's
Pete on the Street. It just has to do with your name. So if your name was Dave, I wouldn't have to worry about this.
Dave and Street, Mike, do not rhyme.
That is true. No, that is my point.
But Pete, I mean, I don't know.
So on name alone, you get to be the guy. What if I was Carl Peters and I get
curiosity.
Peters on the street?
Peters on the...
Peters on the streets.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know.
I like that one. I'm okay with it.
Carl could... I don't know. I just have that
Carl on the boulevard. Yeah, that doesn't really work.
Or, I can't think of anybody else.
You just want Pete on the streets, huh?
Right. I don't know. No, but I know some of those areas. I do... Millville is a blind spot for me. I'm sorry about that. But I do hope to get down there. It's beautiful. The fields.
And just as nice as Collingswood. And at least you've given yourself the short commute to work as well by living in Collingswood as opposed to Millville.
The commute is very, very nice, no doubt.
Yeah, that is nice. I miss those days with the 10 to 15 minute commute. But anyway, unfortunately we got to wrap up. So thank you very much for joining us, Matt. We appreciate it, and we look forward to many years, at least 6. You seem to have a good, lately you've had a good 6-year run places, so hopefully we get another 5 3/4 years out of you. Okay. 5 years, 11 months. But anyway, thanks for joining us today, and anytime you want to come back on, you're more than welcome. Anytime you have an initiative, certainly you're in the beginning stages, but if there's ever anything you want to promote, feel free to come out for that. And if you know of anyone to bring on the podcast, we're always looking for particularly people from the parishes as opposed to necessarily the diocesan offices. We wanted to do an interview with you because you're the new guy in town. We had Marianne Gilbride on last week. But yeah, as you run across people, I'm sure you'll run across different people than your predecessor. We'd like to chat with them and see what their perspective on Catholic life in South Jersey is, or more regional than that. So come back anytime.
Great. Thanks so much for having me.
Sure thing.
Thanks.
Thank you very much, Peter. Have a good rest of your day.
You too, Mike.
See you, everybody.